We have the bench source by Verdicts. This is a machine that anneals brass. After you fire your brass and it forms itself to the chamber, you will then, my advice is to remove the primer, tumble. I do dry tumbling with the walnut media, and remove anything out of your primer pockets. And then the next step before sizing is annealing. What happens when you anneal brass is you heat the metal, or you heat the brass around the shoulder and the neck, and this brings the elasticity back into the brass to stop case hardening. An example is you take a hanger, and if you bend that clothes hanger back and forth, it actually hardens that hanger in the bend point, and it ultimately snaps. Think of that same situation when you size, bump the shoulder and fire brass. It actually hardens and it'll become brittle, and you'll start to see splits at the neck. It takes about 2, maybe 3 firings without annealing to where you start to get that hardening of the neck, and you'll see some inconsistencies around your extreme spreads and standard deviations. Maybe 7 to 10, and then you can check the sources to see when you start to have fatigue around the neck from case hardening and you start to have the splits. So my advice is to anneal after every firing to keep the consistency and to prevent the case hardening, ultimately extending the life of your brass. Annealing with the quality brass, which I'm using Starline here, I consider this a quality brass, and it's readily available and it's relatively affordable. You can get 10, maybe 15 shots per round, and you do the math on 106.5 cases being shot at 15 times each. 3, maybe 4 bags of 100 pieces of Starline. You've basically shot the life of your 6.5-inch Creedmoor barrel. So it's well worth this weight in gold, or brass, pun intended. So this bench source is a hell of a piece of equipment. It's manufactured not far, it's just a state over from me. I'm in Louisiana. This is manufactured in Mississippi. And the way this system works, easy assemble. Your torches go here. It definitely takes a propane source. I'll put some B-roll in to show you the control systems. It does have a power source that you plug in to manipulate the case clamp and also the case bracket, and it does take an external source of heat. So this is gas annealed, not the induction anneal that you see with the various versions out there. Those are rather expensive, and with consistency and using the same system, I think this system will work. So you have cutouts for various sizes of brass. This can take up to 338 Lapua, all the way down to your .224 diameter rounds. And you can actually remove your spindle clamp and manipulate the shell holders to go right over the spin plate that actually rotates the brass. And I'll show you how that works. You actually put, I have this plastic tray. I would not use a plastic tray when actually annealing. You need something metal so you don't ruin it, because the cases are coming out at minimum 450 degrees to 500 degrees C. But you place your shells in, you turn it on manual, and it actually rotates the brass, and you'll see that it'll actually spin for the right amount of seconds. Ideally, you will want to use Tempolac, which is a source of paint that measures your heat, and when that Tempolac starts to turn black, you know you had it in rotation for the right amount of time. And as it rotates and it goes through its annealing process, it has some time to cool, and then it drops off into your catch container on the bottom. The bench source by Verdicts is a next step in extreme accuracy. Having consistency around the neck by way of annealing is how you start to see those single-digit standard deviations and extreme spread numbers that ultimately lends itself to accuracy at long range. And you just keep loading. This makes relatively quick work of annealing. I don't want to violate any guidelines, so I didn't attach the bottles. It's finicky nowadays with what you're able to put on YouTube, so reach out in the comments and I can actually private message you or source on where you can obtain this, but this is definitely a piece of equipment for your serious reloaders if you want to take your accuracy to the next level. Again, I am firing, I am depriming, I am dry tumbling, then I'm going to anneal to bring the elasticity back into the next before I size, then prime, then powder charge, then seat bullets. That's the steps. If you do this every time after firing, you will see a more consistent shot selection downrange. If you have any other questions, reach out in the comments. We can talk offline, again, so I don't violate any community guidelines. But this is the bench source by Verdicts. It's a must-have for any serious reloader. See you guys later.